Okay, we are back. Thank you all for staying with us. We're here with Amanda and Sean. Excuse me, Amanda and Sean from the Seed a Living Beer Project. Of course, Richard is with me, and
Yepper.
and this is Vic. So we were talking right before we did do a guest beer segment, and Amanda and Sean were telling us about their beer that they have there. What I have here is Backward Flag Oak Armored Ale, which is very nice ale. This is they don't really have a flagship, but if there was one, this is kind of one of my go-to beers also.
I love it.
Delicious. So always supporting my Jersey Shore breweries. I have this, and I also Jason and Tad Campbell, you can see I have my slack tie hat on also. So we definitely want to keep those breweries strong.
I wish I could show you. I took a picture. It's just magical. I don't know how it got there, but somehow if you go through that would be the Maze Landing toll booth, where you drop the change in to get off for the Maze Landing to get onto the Black Horse Pike. There's a Backward Flag Brewery sticker on the change machine.
On the change machine?
I don't know how it got there, but it's there.
Someone did it fairly quickly then.
Huh? Fairly quickly. Amazing. Somebody must really love that brewery. Huh. Can't imagine how it got there.
I don't know. Maybe
a fan who happens to drive up and down that highway all the time.
Maybe an engineer I know.
Maybe
a producer that I know. Now let's talk about the Seed a Living. Let's talk about your particular location here. Tell us about the brewery itself. Size. How big are you, and what's your focus going to be?
Yeah, so it's a cool spot actually. We are on the corner of Lexington and Delaware Avenue. The address is actually 807 Baltic Avenue.
Oh, nice.
We're a couple blocks off Hard Rock, basically, is the best way to describe it for folks that aren't from the area. Our building has two really awesome, our unit has two really awesome neighbors, which make it a cool little stop. Kind of on the other side of our tasting room wall to one direction is Little Water Distillery.
Okay.
And to the other side of the other tasting room wall is Westakunk Hatchet Throwing. So it's a cool little spot where you can go hang out at Little Water, drink cocktails, check their spot out, come to the brewery once we're open, and go do some hatchet throwing next door. They're all really cool places. So we couldn't be happier with the little trifecta we've got going on.
Not particularly in that order.
No, I mean,
really in that order. Yes, get really bombed to go throw hatchets. It's exactly what you want to do.
It's amazingly safe, and I don't know if you guys have done it before. It's a lot of fun. I had my reserves because I didn't really know how long you could spend throwing hatchets. In my mind, you throw one or two, and you just hang out for the rest of the night. But
it's so addicting.
We've been trapped there for 5-6 hours. I mean, you bring it's all BYO, so you bring a few beers to share, you get a few friends on the lane, and it's like playing darts all night. It's so much fun. But our space I think it's cool. It's about 5,000 square feet and just wide open rectangle. So we have a parking lot. Us and Westakunk share a parking lot. And you enter into the building from our parking lot on the Delaware Avenue side. Right into our tasting room. So we kind of split the building into thirds a little bit. We will obviously have a little half wall up between the distinguishing tasting room from the production side. But you walk into the tasting room, we left it really open, really simple designs, a lot of natural components. We have a live plant wall, a lot of wood, a lot of stone, a lot of whites and neutral colors in a non-boring way, if that makes sense. Just keeping it clean and simple. And we can, I don't know how many people we could fit, but it's gonna be a pretty big space. So we have 10 draft lines, a single dedicated side pull lager handle, and we have the other, what amounts to about 3,500 square feet is production space.
So you had a side pull lager handle?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Our focus is Saison from a
Okay.
philosophy and ethos standpoint, but that carries over into lager as well.
Uh-huh.
So basically, if you come to the seed once we're open, you can always expect to have, hopefully, some form of lager, some form of Saison-inspired beer, and some form of hoppy beer available. Outside of that might be a little bit of a crapshoot, but we will always try to have some form of lager, Saison, and hops available. We try as best we can to pay some homage to the traditions, not so much with strict adherence to style guidelines or anything like that, but for us, more of like the aesthetics and the like customs involved with some of those beers. That's kind of a roundabout way to describe it, but the side pull handle has always been like a little bit of an enamor point for us, and some of our favorite lager focused breweries we've learned so much from just sitting down with some of these brewers for even 15 minutes over a beer, about some of the absolute minute details that if you put some detail into some of these things, there might not be a single person that ever picks up that nuance in the glass, but you know it's there, and that gives it like that much more meaning when you can be proud behind something that you're pouring for someone.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the little things with the side pull handle. We wanted to make sure we could source at least one. There's, I mean, to the best of our knowledge, one single supplier in America. Otherwise, you're ordering them from the Czech Republic. So we got one because they're very expensive.
Explain to our audience what is the difference with a side pull handle with a lager.
Yeah, and Richard.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, the obvious difference, and I don't mean this in a dumbed down way, but it literally pulls from the side rather than from the top.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these faucets are binary. They're either open or closed, and you're not really going to get any form of reasonable pour if you try to flutter anywhere in the middle of that.
Mm-hmm.
The side pull faucets have a full 90 degree, I mean, technically 180 degree range or gradient of pour levels. And the best way to describe it is your blend of like foam to beer. So one of the really traditional ways of serving Czech Pilsner with a side pull handle is you're going to pull it to somewhere around like 15 degrees, and you're going to give your mug like an inch or an inch and a half foam cap first. So you actually pour a little bit of the foam first, and then you open the handle all the way, and the beer will pour below that. Now, from like super nerdiest of standpoints, theoretically, I don't know if practically makes sense, but theoretically, by pouring the foam cap first, you put down a barrier. So when you pour your beer under that, you're not oxidizing it, rather than oxidizing your beer and creating a foam cap in the same pour. But again, those are the nuances that who knows if there's any real difference or not, or if anyone can pick them up. But it's one of those traditions that we wanted to just stick to and respect out of the originals.
Now, the only, I could be, apologize if I'm missing any breweries. The only other brewery is I actually just did an interview and put an article out on Source Brewing up in Colts Neck.
Yeah.
And they have that. They are very in tune to the foam, loving the foam and the way it's being poured and everything like that. Very similar to what you're just talking about there, Sean. Very important. People don't realize, the importance. I don't like getting a lager and it's filled up to the top with liquid. That's not the way a beer should be served.
Yeah. I mean, those bubbles. So we bake a lot of sourdough bread at home. And like the biggest flavor impact is air inside that bread. So all those little bubbles of air, like you see people posting, so many people are baking bread these days.
Yeah.
They cut open, they post a picture on social media of all these wide open, like open crumb air bubbles in there. But that's aroma and flavor. Like when you cut into that bread, all those pockets held something. So there's something to say about that with the foam head on a beer. Like that foam head is just like a little reservoir of aroma that's right in front of you the whole time. If you have, I'm going to kind of transition this simultaneously into glassware also, because we're going to have a lot of different types of glassware at the brewery. But I think it's a similar thing. And I bring this up because you say like, and I'm not a fan either. If I order a lager somewhere and it's going to be poured to the brim in something, some form of glassware that's not going to concentrate the aromas or something like that, you're not going to get the same experience out of it. So part of what we're trying to drive home with this project is the experience. In theory, if you're a brewery, if you're a professional brewer and you run a commercial brewery, you should be making good beer. And luckily nowadays, a lot of these breweries are making good beer. But from a business standpoint, if somebody's going to spend their time, which might be few and far between for a lot of people, or spend their hard-earned money, which might not be overly available for a lot of people, where are you going to spend that? You're going to spend that on an experience that's going to give you some memory, fun time with friends, somewhere where you can just sit down and talk and enjoy everything about that few minutes, even if it's a half hour or an hour. So to us, all those little minute details, like the proper pour, like the foam cap, like the glassware, are one less item on a laundry list of potential negative check marks that someone could knock off their experience. So we're trying to focus as much as we can on a complete experience for people, and that's kind of all part of it.
I think it works on a good level for a lot of reasons too, because I think for the average person who's not going to pick it up, they're not going to find it a negative. They're going to enjoy their experience like anybody else who comes in, enjoys your beer, you make a great product. They'll not going to notice the lager glass, right? But they're going to not go, it's not going to be any bad. It's just a good thing to them, right?
Right.
The person though, like you're saying, who does notice that, they're the ones who are going to carry the torch for you and go, these guys nailed every detail. They got it in the right glass. I saw them pouring it from the side handle. They're the people running around for you that become your best cheerleaders.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, we hope. We can only hope.
Right? But that's really how, or the other way around, those people, if you're not doing it, are your worst enemy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Your average person who doesn't notice it just will have the good experience. The people who see all the wrong little details are your worst nightmare. They're the ones you read on the internet that you go, oh, look at these people nitpicking, but they're not. They're the people like you who came and wanted the right experience. They wanted a lager in a lager glass, right? They wanted it poured right. You got the right details. You got it all right,
And there's not much more fulfilling than if someone picks up on that little detail that you assume nobody's going to care about. And if that little minute detail could make someone smirk, go up a little bit more while they're there, it's all worth it at that point.
Yep. Amen to that, man.
Now, I know a lot of your focus is on Saison. Now, that's what you're drinking? Is that your favorite style of beer to drink?
Yeah, I would say so. I think these days we're kind of a clean split between Saison, farmhouse beer, whatever someone wants to deem it, and some of the better lagers that are coming out these days.
Okay.
We went through the whole progression. I mean, when we first started drinking, I think probably Sam Adams Oktoberfest was what got me drinking better beer at that time, however many years ago that was. And then we got our way into IPAs, which were super aggressive, and it wasn't something I was really that partial to. But then you find pretty quickly that you can't have enough hops, and at that time, when I was going through this, hops didn't necessarily mean anything other than bitterness. So I was looking for more bitterness, more aggressive. It was that newness on my palate. Right. And we got to a point where we kind of wore out the welcome of bitter beer. And the next step for us was just complexity and acid and wild beers and funky beers. When we got to that, it was this whole world that now seems so absolutely endless and infinite that we can continue learning through. So I think from a curiosity standpoint, Saison is definitely my favorite world to explore. From a drinking standpoint, we've just been super into drinkable beer these days, especially at home. On more quarantine, I'm working at home for the first time in my life, 4 out of the 5 days a week. And we're drinking a lot more. I think a lot of people might be. So we're looking for drinkable beer that we can drink throughout the day. We had a keg. We brewed a lot of beer. We actually contracted a lot of beer at Ludlam for AC Beer Fest this year because we weren't open yet. So we we still wanted to go and pour and be a part of that festival.
Okay.
So we contracted a ton of beer at Ludlam. One of them happened to be a hoppy Brett table beer, and it's not really going to last how we want it. So we put a 6th on at home the other day, and like little 4% pale ale, for lack of a better term, just like Brett fermented pale ale. That's something we would crush all day long now.
And I think that's what you find with the quarantine, because we've been home. I've been working from home. My wife also, she's a teacher. Been working from home for over a month now, and and you're very close to beer in your house when you have that. So I find myself drinking that. Even when I brewed, I've brewed a couple of times since the quarantine, and and what I've brewed is I've brewed a blonde and I brewed a pale ale, and neither one of them is more than 5.5%.
Yeah.
But I wanted something summery to get rid of the darkness that's there, because I had a lot of dark beers in my kegerator. And even this weekend, what was I drinking? I was drinking cream ales and lighter ales like I'm drinking tonight here.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We go through this whole like oscillation though, because we've been drinking so much like farmhouse beer and lager these days that the past 2 or 3 days we've just been craving stout. And we don't make stout. We'll be the first to admit we suck at making stout.
Really?
Nothing we make we're happy with.
Yeah.
It's something that
we're gonna keep trying.
We're gonna keep trying. We've never really put that much time into it, but a lot of the time that we have put into it, the results have been so far from where we wanted them to be that it's been pretty discouraging, and we're just really not interested at it enough to really dive in. A friend of ours just he launched his brand out of Connecticut recently, and his main focus is stout, and we've been talking to him a lot about basically friendly banter of why Saison's better than stout, or why stout's better than Saison from his end. But we just found ourselves craving stout. That's the first beer we had today. We went out and found a 4-pack of his beer, and we were drinking coconut, Imperial coconut.
Okay. But that's good. It's Richard and I have this conversation all the time. A lot of people think that beers are seasonal, but I can drink a porter in the middle of the summer. I have no problem.
Me too.
I can drink an Edmund Fitzgerald porter any time of year.
Amen to that.
I can drink that. But you're down in Ludlam, they got some nice darker beers down there. Polar Bear Porter is a fantastic beer.
Yeah, it's a doozy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites actually down at Jersey Shore.
Did we get any of the barrel aged?
I did not get it yet. I don't know. Maybe if John Cashew lives only a couple of minutes from Ludlam, so maybe if he would like to throw me a bone.
Yeah.
I'm not that far from there
Get me
too.
one of those barrel-aged porters there before they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the double Polar Bear. They aged it in a little water whiskey barrel. It came out really nice.
It's that for
That sounds yummy.
I had Richard. You had the stout that I made, the barrel-aged stout.
Yeah, I did.
I had it in barrel a couple months. That was pretty good beer.
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're underselling that. That was really good. And I'd tell you if it wasn't. It was really good, man.
I know you would. But it's empty. But tell me about now. How has the quarantine and everything affected your process as far as getting the project toward opening?
Next question.
We're actually in a uniquely stable place right now. I kind of hate to be talking about this a little bit with so many of the difficulties that the rest of our industry peers are going through right now. But we're in a little bit of a unique position where I will use the word luckily in this conversation. We didn't open before this whole thing started. So we have almost no overhead right now. We have no product in tanks. We have no raw ingredients that are staling. We have no payroll right now. So we're in a position where we are still moving forward at the fastest clip that we can. That has certainly slowed a bit as we've had some difficulties for no other reason than the restrictions on hours worked and so on and so forth. With the municipality, getting a hold of inspectors has been a little bit more tedious. Getting contractors in has been a little more tedious. But basically, we're moving forward as quickly as we can, and we're looking to get licensed as quickly as we can so we can start brewing. If in a perfect world, luckily, so Amanda and I have a couple partners that are involved with the project with us, and everyone is luckily on the exact same page. One of the reasons it took us so long to get this project off the ground was finding the right partner to go in on this with that would basically share the same vision as Amanda and I. So everyone is fully on the same boat. And part of that is basically like this thing will take as long as it needs to take, and we roll with the punches as they come. So for us, like I said a few sentences ago, we're trying to get open from a licensing standpoint so that we can brew, basically so we could just start filling oak with Saison and brewing lager to start maturing.
Mhm.
So for us, we're trying to look at this situation again in our very, very small microscopic bubble as trying to take advantage of where we stand, that we are not being rushed to open the doors. If we're licensed tomorrow, why aren't we open yet? Now, something Amanda and I never wanted to do was open the doors with a lineup of beers that we're not happy with.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
we would never serve something that we're not happy with, but quality aside, if we open the doors with a lineup of hoppy beer, it's not what we want to portray to people. We want lager and Saison on tap when we open. For us, lager is an 8-week period. So if we brew today, there's a grand opening 2 months from now in a perfect world. So the sooner we can get brewing, the sooner we can ensure that we have what we need to do a real grand opening. And of course, once we're allowed to, we'd love to open the doors to friends, to locals, friends and family type of thing, soft openings, get the community in, see what the space is like, drink some beer. If that's pale ale, if that's IPA, whatever, that's more about community and fun than about a real like grand opening and showcasing what the project's supposed to be. But to get back to your original question, the timeline is only affected as much as the difficulties are starting to arise a little bit getting a hold of people. But
Okay.
with that being said, we're still moving forward. We're right in the middle of final inspections right now. We have 2 done and 2 to go. A couple of little adjustments and tweaks for the next 2 that we're working on right now. But
Okay.
we're hoping to be wrapping this up pretty soon. And then hopefully we can get the state in and we can start brewing relatively quickly.
Great. That'll be fantastic.
I got an odd question. It's just because you're a new business now and you're coming to Atlantic City at a weird time. So I'm not going to ask you. I don't want to, because I want to put you on record with an opinion. Just if you think, is it a concern of yours as a new business in the town of Atlantic City? They have this thing going on where there's this petition to have a change of government in Atlantic City. Does that at all, as a new business owner in Atlantic City, concern you now?
There's always concerns, especially in our business and the type of beer we're making. I think we would have concerns regardless of where we were opening.
Sure.
Our concerns within the city were really interesting early on. We actually weren't planning on opening in Atlantic City in the beginning. It's a very long story that I'm not going to bore people with, but we were planning on opening somewhere else and wound up switching gears kind of late through our early location identification process. And
Right.
we had our reserves about Atlantic City from the get-go when we started looking at it.
Sure.
Mark Ganter, the owner of Little Water, one of the owners of Little Water, was a big proponent. He was pushing to see some development in his immediate complex, of course, and he was trying to show us the positives of everything. And what I will say is throughout the earliest of stages when we were getting involved with the city and involved with the local community and conversations with the zoning board and so on and so forth, it was the most welcoming group, and it was this immense depth of growth that we didn't see as a local resident. I mean, we live 20 minutes outside of Atlantic City, and we visit Atlantic City and we go places in Atlantic City, but we didn't see this little movement that was going on. I think a lot of what Colazzo's doing down on Tennessee Avenue and a lot of the new business that's coming down, it's getting back to kind of what drives some of these cities, some of these municipalities is it's small business, it's food, it's music, it's art, and some of that is finally taking hold and growing. So, I mean, we're in a position now where we, of course, are worried. We're worried for a lot of people.
Right.
We're crossing our fingers and hoping that the community can kind of band together and come out stronger on the other side of this. We're hoping that small business will be able to push through and certainly not get back to the same foot that they were on, but maybe a different one that's still on the same trajectory.
Right. Atlantic City does feel like it could be the gold mine, right? I mean, so like it's just situated. It's got a boardwalk. It's got these world-class beaches. It's, you know, really could be this magical place if it could get out of its own way.
Yeah.
It's not because of people like you. I mean, there's these amazing, like you said, Colazo and them doing the whole tenants, you know, that orange loop, and you guys got right there. I mean, there's just such potential for Atlantic City to be this, you know, bustling, amazing place. And you're right. I think, again, right on the ground floor of what you said could be the next golden age of Atlantic City if we come out of this pandemic on the right way.
Yeah, and I'm the most naive, ill-informed person when it comes to politics on a
Hopefully.
global country or municipal level.
Right.
So I can't even begin to formulate an opinion on anything in that regard.
Right. Right. Like I said, I wasn't trying to put you on record for it, but I mean, I know you're a new business owner and you're in a town with a, you know, a very dynamic political history that's about to undergo a massive fight for its very way of how it, you know, how it serves the whole community. So,
oh, of course. Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting how that plays out. And it was about to happen, you know, in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
So it's going to be very interesting how this all shakes out after, but.
That's for
yeah,
sure.
Definitely. I mean, it sounds silly, but we're along for the ride now. It's kind of like we will adjust and make the necessary tweaks to kind of do what we have to do in our position right now. So we're excited that the community is where it is right now. We're excited with the immense amount of people that we've been working with within the city that have some really awesome ideas and some really strong philosophies moving forward. And we hope it all takes hold.
Amen to that, man.
Okay, let's switch gears away from the political side and the administrative side of things. What is, you know, and you may have two different answers. What is your absolute favorite beer? If they said there's only one beer you could drink.
Ooh, I love this question.
What would you drink? Sean, let's go with you first.
Sean's beer doesn't exist.
My beer doesn't exist.
About this.
I think, and this isn't a shameless plug, I think if we took a Flower Shared and built it with a stronger noble hop basis, that might be my desert island beer. If I had to pick a beer that exists, a little bit off course, I think Allagash released a few times a Brett IPA.
I love that.
It wasn't as much an IPA, but I think that's just kind of the world that they wanted to categorize it within.
Right.
Brett IPA is one of my favorite beers.
Oh, nice. Now, what would you mean? How would you change your beer as far as with noble hops? Like some Hallertau, something like that?
I am
Saaz.
Absolutely obsessed with anything and everything Saaz.
Okay, Saaz. Okay.
It's up to me, 100% Saaz. Maybe remove them. If again, I absolutely adore this beer, but for a desert island beer, Munich out, all Pilsner, Saaz, Brett finished lager, kind of where I would like to sit.
I'd drink that anytime.
That's delicious.
Fantastic. That's delicious. You know, we ask this question a lot when Richard and I do the programs with everyone. And I think, you know, because we do, it changes sometimes with us, but I think the one I've said the most is probably Saison DuPont.
Yeah.
That is one of my all-time favorites.
Classic.
Yeah, that is a fantastic beer. Richard, how about you?
Oh God, what did I say last time? I've changed it every time because I feel like I can't keep saying the same beer, and there's so many awesome beers that I could that I say I could live with every time.
I think it depends on the kind of pizza I have in the basement when we do the show, Rich.
It probably does, and I'm gonna go with. Put me on the spot today, huh?
Always, Richard.
I'm gonna pull one out of the vault. I've been very, very. I've been doing a lot of reminiscing with friends today,
Yeah.
and we were going back, and we were talking probably because we've been. I also we've been talking a lot about the band Fish with a bunch of my friends today.
Mm-hmm.
We've been going through a lot of our history of Fish concerts, and believe it or not, going back to my even like history with the show, the beer I used to drink in Fish lots long before I knew anything about beer was
Rheingold?
Chimay. No, Chimay.
Chimay?
I would drink Chimay Grand Reserve.
Nice.
And I cracked one the other night.
Yeah.
I forgot that's still a really good beer.
Yeah.
It's not a bad beer at all.
Yeah.
If I got stuck on a desert island with nothing but Chimay Grand Reserves, I think I'd be okay. I think I'd live with that. I'm going to go with Chimay today. Chimay Grand Reserve. That's going to be my beer.
All right. I got another question for you guys. If there was...
Well, you forgot Amanda's beer. Or is she taking the same beer?
You got the same beer, man? What's yours?
Orval.
Oh.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yep.
Very good.
We went
Very
to
nice.
Belgium for the first time
Okay.
not this past November, but the November before.
Okay.
And I don't think we've drank so much Orval in such a short period of time.
It was perfect.
Belgium is on my bucket list.
Mine too.
It has to be.
It's the
yeah,
best.
It's on my bucket list. We have a friend who actually was born there and has relatives there. So, she keeps saying, we're going to take you to Belgium, take you to Belgium. I said, I will go anytime. Well, not now.
Yeah.
Not now, obviously. We're going to wait a little bit to go. But, oh, yeah.
You say, what, are you going to hijack a plane?
We actually got really lucky because a friend of ours works at Cantillon now. So when we got to Brussels, we told her when we landed, and the next day she met us in Moeder Lambic, and we drank a few glasses of Lambic, and then she toured us around the city for 2 days, basically.
Oh,
It was amazing.
Nothing like the Belgian beers, and they really know the proper glass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The beers all have the proper glass.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You can go into like a hole-in-the-wall bar, and whatever you get comes in a branded proper
Well,
glass.
even at that rest stop.
Yeah.
We were at a rest stop, and there was a full bar with every beer
Wow.
being poured in the proper glass. It was
Wow.
amazing.
We went to Ireland last year. We flew out of Newark Airport, and there is a Belgian bar in Newark Airport, in the international whatever you call it, the international building. There's a Belgian bar there. So, okay, we talked about beer. Now, if there's only one musical artist you could listen to, who would that be?
That's really tough.
We've been struggling with this one.
I have such an eclectic music palette.
Uh-huh.
I think my answer would change if we sat down and shared beers and talked about this every week.
Uh-huh.
But right now, probably because we just saw them live recently, it's the Wood Brothers and their this album I'm obsessed with right now.
Mhm. Nice.
Right before in February, we saw them in Philly,
Yeah.
and I can't put them down right now.
they're amazing.
Awesome. That's it. Amanda, you the same?
I don't know. This one's too hard for me. I'm back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I came up with like 7 in like 4 minutes. I don't think I can choose.
It is a hard question, And when I ask this question, I always just count out the Beatles, because the Beatles are like, they're on a different level in my mind, my generation. So I always say Neil Young. And
Yeah.
Richard knows that. I know.
What album?
Huh?
What album?
What album? That changes. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere is up there. Zuma is up there for me. On the Beach is a number of different ones I could pick depending on. I would say everybody knows This Is Nowhere, which is down by the river, and it's got acoustic stuff on it also.
Yeah.
Some great. That's my all-time favorite. Richard, you? Gonna say Almonds?
I take the Allman Brothers a lot.
Yeah.
Live at the Fillmore is just such an amazing. I'm my happy place at that record a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really like the last record the Allmans put out called "Hitting the Note."
Okay.
That's with the current lineup, the last lineup they had. That's the Warren Haynes Derek Truck lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna take that one today.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna stay with the Allman Brothers, but the last lineup. So "Hitting the Note."
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, it's just such a great record.
Very good. Very
It's
good.
nice having a different island to bring music to every time you do this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
We
It's a
always
different island, yeah.
We always
Like,
come up with different answers. You know,
I
and
thought,
I think I told you guys, Amanda and Sean, when we had Guy on the show, you know, we didn't do this question, and we were done recording, and he said, "Hey, I didn't get to tell you my Desert Island album."
yeah, that's right.
We had to
We
turn
went back
the
and
recording
inserted.
back on and do the rest of it then with him, because he was upset he didn't get a chance, because he's from the same generation as me, so I think he probably has the same albums I do.
We saw Neil Young.
We did.
He
It
was
was
Did
awesome.
you really? Where'd you
Yeah.
see him?
Yeah, when?
We saw him at Susquehanna
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Ah,
Probably like
a couple years ago.
4
Yeah.
years ago, maybe.
I've seen him about 30 times over the years.
Really? Yeah, we only
you know,
saw
that,
Huh?
you know, that could be the other segment we could start doing. Who are the people that you've missed in life that you had the chance?
Uh-huh.
Like, I had a chance a couple times to see B.B. King, and I missed out on seeing him.
Yeah.
There's a bunch. I missed out on seeing a lot of people that I just could have seen, and then they're gone.
Right. Okay, let's get it to wrap up. I'm getting my Zoom warning on here, so we can get it ready to wrap up. Tell us final thoughts on the Seed Living Beer project, where people can find you on social media, etc.
Yeah, so we're on Instagram and Facebook. It's the Seed Beer on both. We try to stay fairly active on both. That's pretty much the best place to get information on what we're doing. We'll make sure anything we're doing, any beers that we're releasing, any notices or timing for the brewery being opened will be on Instagram and Facebook. As far as beers go, we have a couple. We've been doing a lot of collaborations over the last year or two. We have a couple in the works right now that we're kind of just waiting to see when they're mature and ready to be released. Again, we'll make sure to let everyone know when they're ready. But other than that,
Well, I think right now we have Below is probably still available.
yeah, Kelly Green.
would imagine.
We did a semi-traditional beer to guard with Kelly Green. Called Below. That might still be available at Kelly Green if anyone wants to try that. But trying to open the brewery soon. We hope to be ready and see everyone on the other side of this. Every Saturday on our Instagram at 6:00, we do an Instagram live with another Saison producer and just basically drone for an hour about Saison philosophy. So if anyone's interested in that, please join us. It's a lot of fun for us.
I'll make sure to share that with the Ocean County Homebrewers Show. I know we would have a lot of them interested. Ocean County Homebrewers, just like everyone else, we're in the virtual mode now. This month, actually, by the time this comes out, we'll have already had it. We're going to be doing a virtual meeting with Dave Carpenter from the AHA, American Homebrewers Association. That will be our meeting this month. South Jersey Beer Scene, every Tuesday and Thursday. Keep an eye out, at least during this crisis. 7:30, John will be on with Tom. Sometimes with me, we'll have brewers, etc., on doing a little half-hour show that way. Richard, what's going on with you, my friend?
Seems like every Thursday, Fear Craft Beer Plan's been recording an episode.
Mm-hmm.
We just dropped one on Monday again. That was our 420 special. I really didn't talk about 420, but I don't know. This Thursday, we're talking about Prince. Since, it's been 4 years since he died.
Yeah, it's been,
So we'll be doing a big Prince thing this Thursday. I brought out he did 3 days in 2013 on the Montreux Jazz Festival. 3 nights with his horn section and his all-girl band, the Third Eye Girl Band, and it's 3 nights of no repeats. It's just like a magical Prince thing. So we're going to be featuring some songs from that. It'll be a good time.
Fantastic. Okay, Amanda and Sean, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Looking forward to the Seed Living Beer Project opening up. So we'll be definitely be keeping an eye out and be out there once you guys open. So everyone, thank you all for watching and listening. Stay safe, and remember, SouthJerseyBeerScene.com, Instagram, Facebook, Hopped Up Network. You can find us all over the place. Thank you, and we are out. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you.